Summer is in full swing, and once again, millions of people from across Europe are flocking to their dream holiday destinations. And as usual, this year is no exception. Social media and headlines are once again flooded with reports of how Croatia has gotten even more expensive. Rumor has it, even Germans with pensions over 3,500 euros can barely afford it now. And a bigger grocery trip might just cost you a kidney. High prices, low wages, and people are crying next to the watermelons. And just like us, most Czechs and Slovaks are wondering whether they should pack swimsuits, or rather bring a few schnitzels and a crate of beer instead. And as if that wasn't enough, traffic chaos has once again made its grand appearance. This year, a big concert in Zagreb added to the mess. But as always, special thanks go to the toll booths, which reliably turn the highway into an endless queue under the scorching sun and frayed nerves. Kids are crying, cars are overheating, and Dad is wondering if it was really worth those 22 euros for a short stretch of motorway. So now let's ask ourselves, is it really that bad? As I'm putting this video together, it hasn't even been 24 hours since we boarded the ferry from the island of Rab. It's actually the 4th time we visited Croatia this year, and the 3rd time in just the past 30 days. Among other things, we're also preparing a wedding here. Personally, I first came to Croatia back in 1996. And since then, I've been here over 50 times. I still remember the war-damaged buildings, people waving signs that said Zimmerfrei or Sobe, and accommodation for just 8 euros per person. But those days are long gone. I'm definitely not going to try to paint a picture of Croatia as a cheap destination, because it simply isn't anymore. Since 2020, price increases have been much more noticeable here than, for example, back home. At the same time, I'd like to add a bit of objectivity when it comes to prices in restaurants and shops, and compare them with other destinations. For instance, with the Czech Republic, Slovakia, or even the Polish city of Świnoujście on the Baltic Sea. All right, enough with the introduction. Let's jump straight into the prices. We'll start with the previously mentioned ferry between the island of Rab and the island of Krk, which cost us a total of 58 euros. That's approximately 6 euros per adult and 33 euros for a car up to 5 meters in length. Now let's take a look at prices in a local store, specifically at a Tommy supermarket in the town of Rab on the island of Rab. As you can see, a can of beer doesn't cost 4 euros. In fact, compared to last November, Dorina chocolates are now about 20% cheaper, priced similarly to Milka. We almost always found some of them on sale, which matters to us, since we often buy these chocolates in bulk as gifts for family and friends. Half a liter of cola costs 1,30 euro, a liter 1,80 euro, and a 2-liter bottle 2,30 euros. 3.5% milk is 1,30 euro, and lactose-free milk was on sale at the same price. Regular vegetable oil is about 1,50 euro, while olive oil ranges from 7 to 25 euros per liter, depending on brand and origin. Now, let's check out a few other items you might find interesting price-wise. And as you can see, you'll pay about the same for mineral water as you would in the Czech Republic or Slovakia. We'll do the same check in the center of Rab, this time at a Konzum store, where among other things we found a mixed drink from the brand Republika with cola. It costs 2.75 euros here, and just 2.35 euros with a loyalty card. The rest of the prices are roughly the same as in the previous store. For example, Chocopik is 5.20 euros, and various dairy products. Yogurts start at about 50 cents. Cola and beer are priced about the same as at Tommy. Here are prices from the bakery at Valimar campsite on Rab Island. A plain croissant costs 1.30 euro, a filled one is about 30 cents more. Other sweet pastries are similarly priced. Regular bread rolls cost around 60 cents, and a cheese burek was just over 3 euros. Now let's look at a specific restaurant receipt. Again on Rab Island. 3 half-liters of draft Karlovačko beer cost 12 euros, or 4 euros each. Juice was 2.80 euros, and a liter of mineral water 3.20. Grilled squid, Ligne na Žaru cost 17 euros. Plieskavita was 11, and mixed meat for 2 was 31. Finally, 3 shots of Jägermeister were 9 euros. The total? 114 euros. This isn't a fancy restaurant, just a regular spot in a tourist area. Here's another example. This time a receipt totaling 133 euros and 80 cents. It includes 3 portions of calamari for 51 euros, 1 Nostromo pizza for 13, a Quattro Formaggi pizza for 12, and cevapcici with fries for 15 euros. For drinks, there were 2 Aperol spritzes for 13 euros and a shot of Slivovica for 3.20. Now let's take a look at a place we could call fast food, but I have to say we really liked it. It's located right in the center of Rab and specializes in various versions of fish and chips. A portion of fried sardines with fries, called Sardines Maximus, costs 9 euros. And if you're in the mood for something more varied, you can try the fried mix rivetta, a mix of sardines, sprats, and calamari, again served with fries, lemon, and sauces, for 12 euros. As mentioned earlier, let's do a quick comparison. Take Poland, for example, in a restaurant about 200 meters from the Baltic Sea. We paid 270 zloty, roughly 61 euros, for 2 pizzas, a pasta dish, 2 large beers, water, and 2 shots. The menu shows pizzas at around 12 euros, large beers about 5, and salads near 10. So there's not much price difference between Poland and Croatia in peak season, even though Poland still uses the zloty and isn't in the Eurozone. So what about Germany? Why do people, especially Germans, still love coming here, even though they have their own seaside up north? Let's take a look at a real example. Dinner for 5 in May 2024 in Zinnowitz, at the restaurant of the 4-star Strand and Wellness Hotel Preußenhof. Total bill, 207 euros and 30 cents. That included wine, beer, soft drinks, and main dishes. Mostly fish specialties, asparagus, and sides. Prices were very similar to what you'd find today in Croatia or better seaside restaurants in Poland. For example, a beer cost 6 euros and 20 cents. A ginger ale, 5 euros and 40 cents, a bottle of wine, 29 euros and 50 cents, a main dish such as pike perch, 27 to 29 euros, and asparagus as a side, 16 euros and 50 cents. All right, that was dinner at a 4-star hotel by the sea. But what about this no-name restaurant in the middle of the completely unknown town of Pasewalk, far from the coast? 2 Gordon Blues and 4 beers, and we paid 42 euros. And what about prices on the outskirts of Prague? Take our favorite restaurant Camera in Prague, 5. Let's look at a few classics. Sirloin and cream sauce is about 12 euros, beef goulash a little over 11, and beef broth as a starter is roughly 4 euros. A fried chicken schnitzel will cost you around 12 euros. And once you reach the center of Prague, for example at the well-known restaurant U Pinkasu, here are some prices. A pork schnitzel costs 14 euros, with a side of rustic potato salad for 3 euros. Fried cheese comes to about 13 euros, and sirloin and cream sauce is around 12. And for example, if we jump to Banska Bystrica, where we were recently, here is our favorite restaurant, Evijo. Let's look at some prices. Margarita costs 8 euros, capricciosa 11 euros. Soups include chicken broth and tomato soup with cheese, both about 4 euros. As a main course, Gordon Bleu is 9.50, with sides costing 2 to 3 euros more. Garlic pizza bread is just under 3 euros. Okay, let's go back to Croatia. Of course, like at home, some businessmen want to profit, so in certain shops at selected spots, you may pay several times the normal prices. As mentioned on the Slovak page, we experienced it ourselves in Dubrovnik and couldn't believe our eyes. Naturally, everything is more expensive in July than June, and every street farther from the beach counts, just like every street farther from Prague center. So, what do you think about the prices? Are you planning to shop in Croatia this year, or do you prefer bringing your own things? Let us know in the comments.